to prepare the kale, you'll see there's these really fibrous stalky bits which can be used for juices and things like that. I kind of like to trim that down just a little bit. I'll kind of break that off. You can either throw that away or keep it for something else. So just run through your kale, and you can leave some of it on. It's good for you. That fibrous sort of part is really good for you, but obviously that will take a lot longer to cook than the actual leaf part. So get rid of the really big bits. That's okay, that's okay. That comes off. That comes off, and we are good. I've given this a really good wash 2 times in running cold water. It's really important to do that to make sure there's no slugs or bugs in there, or dirt as well, because this obviously is grown from the earth. So we can put those to the side. So I'll just give that a little bit of a squash. Then we can just remove the skin from there. With the garlic, you can really finely kind of chop this, but I just tend to do it a little bit, what's that movie, Goodfellas, where they're in prison. They slice it with the kind of potato peeler or blade, whatever it is. I try and do that with a knife. So just slice it as finely as you can, and if you get it fine enough, it'll just kind of melt away into the oil. Okay, so I can pop that just to the side. I've also got a really small amount of finely chopped chili, and I'm going to use a couple of anchovies for this dish as well. You guys can leave that out. So to get started, we've got our pan that's heating. Just going with a little bit of olive oil. You don't need too much here. I always try, from a healthy point of view, to use about a tablespoon of olive oil per person for the whole meal, which when you actually start cooking isn't much at all. But you can actually do a lot with it if you're careful and sort of put your mind to it. So this will be 2 portions here. Garlic and chili can go in. And then we can drop that heat right down and add 2-3 anchovies or no anchovies, whatever you're into. And then I'm going to start breaking this kale into there right away. Now, behind me, you may or may not hear a bit of a whir. I've got the oven going, sitting at about kind of 180, 200 degrees. It's been preheating, so it's ready to go. And I'm going to show you guys a little trick I did the other night. I've made kale chips a million times, and I've cooked kale this way a million times, and the other night I kind of got kale to the stage where I normally served it and then bung the whole pan in the oven, so I got a beautiful crisp texture there as well. So I'm going to start sort of almost stir frying this around. You can always add just a small amount of water into here, and with the heat from the pan that'll immediately turn to steam, which will kind of just help this kale wilt down ever so slightly. So you see that little bit of water goes a long way. It's given enough steam to this just to kind of wilt these down a little bit. And I don't like to cook it much more than this. My grandmother always used to cook vegetables to the point where they'll grey. We still want the vibrancy in here, those chlorophylls, to be really evident. So once this kind of goes from that kale colour to that really bright green colour, for me that's almost done. So I'm going to add into here some lemon juice. You can go pretty generous with this. And fold it through a couple more times. And before we pop this into the oven, just make sure you kind of get any garlicky bits or anchovy chili bits down from the side there and actually into the kale. And we pop this whole thing into the oven now just for like a minute or 2. After 2 or 3 minutes, we should get a beautiful, there it is, a beautiful crunch in there, which gives so much texture. I love this preparation, being able to use minimal fats while retaining all the nutrients in the kale. And for more recipes just like this, hit subscribe.